Hello everybody, this is Jack from Fluency.com and this is the Fluency Show. This is a live English lesson here on YouTube. Are you guys ready to get started? Let's do it. Okay, everybody. This is Jack from Fluency.com and welcome to this live English lesson here on YouTube. If you are new here, welcome to you. If you are watching live, look at all these people here today. We have Manfreeze is here, Roberto, Aitor, Attila, Four Fingers. What a great name. Fred, Hanny, Ronnie. Lots of people are here watching live. It is so good to have you all here. I tried to get started on time, but I had some technical problems. Luckily, I have managed to sort them out, to sort out problems. Okay, today's lesson we are going to look at the difference between the present perfect, simple and continuous. We're also going to talk about how English speakers drop the G sound at the end of words. And there's a great example of a well-recognized brand doing this in their commercials. And then I'm going to talk about my method, which you can easily follow from anywhere in the world. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so good to have you here. Again, if you are new, this is a live English lesson. I haven't done one for quite a long time. But if you're new here, subscribe and click that notification bell. You can see that bell. It's easy to do on your phone or on your computer. You might need to do that extra step if you're on your computer. And doing this means that you will get a notification on your phone or by email when I go live or when I upload a new video. And if you don't have this yet, to fluency.com/book, to fluency.com/book. This is my 5-step plan for English fluency, and it takes you through the different stages of reaching a high level in English. Nathan, it is great to have you here. Thank you for joining. I'm going to add some moderators today to the chat box. People who have been here for, a little while. I'm going to add them. At the moment, I only have Ingrid. I have a couple of other people as well, but I'm going to start adding people as moderators. Okay, I'm also going to share, or I'm going to try and share an Instagram story. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. I am experimenting today. I hope you enjoyed the music at the start. Let's go into this again. Okay, let's get started. Present perfect simple and continuous is used to talk about actions that started in the past and continue in the present. So we can use both these tenses of present perfect simple and present perfect continuous to talk about actions that started in the past and continue in the present. So both of these tenses can do this. And we're going to learn when to use one and when to use the other. And it's not completely simple. There are a few exceptions here, but the rule is this. With the present perfect simple, we use non-continuous verbs. And with the present perfect continuous, we use continuous verbs. Now, a quick question. Have you heard about continuous and non-continuous verbs before? And it doesn't matter if you haven't, because I want to say at this stage, the most important thing is that you understand the examples and you learn the examples. And that's a method I'm going to share at the end of this lesson. The most important thing is that you understand the examples and you learn something about it. We don't have to know the title of grammar or parts of grammar. We don't need to know what it's called. It's not that important, but it can help. It can help. Comment section. Popular is here from Nepal. Juan is from Melilla, Spain in Africa. It was very dynamic at the beginning. Thank you very much. A lot of people are joining. Mohammed, yes, this is a British accent. Forefinger says, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's something to do with your computer. So a lot of the time people say, oh, there's no audio. The video stopped working. Usually it's because of your computer. Another thing I have to say is that the chat box is slow. So when I say something, it takes about 30 seconds or a minute before you hear what I'm saying. Because now we are getting the comments about continuous and non-continuous verbs. I'm drinking tea. It's black tea. It's very good. Can you raise your voice? It's on full. Maybe turn up your audio. Tanja is here saying hi. Hi Jack from Algeria. Good to see you here. Well, let's go back to these continuous verbs and non-continuous verbs. I'm going to show you an example. Again, the present perfect simple is used with non-continuous verbs and continuous is used with continuous verbs. I mean, that's pretty easy to remember. And again, we're talking about the present perfect simple and continuous when we're talking about actions that started in the past and continue in the present. Here's an example. To wait is a continuous verb. And we can say things like, I've been waiting in line for 20 minutes. I've been waiting in line for 20 minutes. So that first part, I've been waiting, is the present perfect continuous. Because wait is a continuous verb. Here's another example. She's been waiting to hear back from the university since she applied. She's been waiting to hear back from the university since she applied. So, the time in the past, or the action started in the past, 20 minutes ago, since she applied. It continues in the present right now. So this is an ongoing action, something that continues. To wait, again, is a continuous verb. I've been waiting in line for 20 minutes. She's been waiting to hear back from the university since she applied. So that's an example of how to use the present perfect continuous. Hopefully you can understand those examples. Again, that's the important thing to know. Speaking about know, to know is a non-continuous verb. This can confuse a lot of people. And I'm going to tell you a few ways that learners make mistakes here. But to know is a non-continuous verb. So when we're talking about something that started in the past and continues in the present, I've known her since school. I've known her since school. They've only known each other for 10 minutes and they've hit it off already. They've only known each other for 10 minutes and they've hit it off already. To hit it off means to get on really well, to have a connection. When you like someone and they like you. And in this case, they've only known each other for 10 minutes and they've hit it off already. So hopefully you can see the difference there between continuous and non-continuous verbs and just how to use these two tenses in general. A lot of learners want to say things like, I know her for 10 years. I know her. Or I am knowing her for 10 years. But in English, use the present perfect tenses when we're talking about these situations. I want to say right now, I want you to do something if you are watching live. Leave me some examples of how to use these two tenses in the way that we're using them. So describe an action that you have been doing that started in the past and continues right now. And think about whether it's best to use the simple form or the continuous form. So get some practice, okay? This is a great time to practice. And when we have done this in the past, these examples help other people too. Because you supply the examples based on your life, and it helps everybody understand how to use it in different ways. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. I will correct it for you. Let's see. I've been studying for 2 hours. I had been studying for 2 hours. What tense is that? Past perfect continuous. I think it is the least used tense in the English language and is only used in a very specific situation. I've been learning English since childhood. Fantastic. I've been studying English since 2014. If more than 20 minutes over 10 years, do we use the present continuous? No. I've been waiting for 10 years. I've been waiting for 50 years to go to California, for example. We've been waiting for Jack since yesterday. Great example. I've known to Fluency.com for 3 months. Very good. I've learned English about 2 years. With learn, it's more common to say learning because this is a continuous verb. I've been learning English for 2 years. Been watching your live lesson since you started it. Very good example. Where have you been, dear? I've been doing my shopping. Very good. I've been teaching my son since this morning. I've known Jack since I decided to dramatically improve my English. I've been in school for 10 hours. She's been cooking for 30 minutes, but she hasn't made enough food. I've been crying since I saw you. Oh, that's a sad example. I've been watching English videos for an hour. I've been living in Spain since 2012. Fantastic. Really good examples. So those ones that I read out are great examples for you to learn. So a very common one is when you're talking about yourself is to tell people how long you have been learning English for. I've been learning English for 10 years. I've been learning English since I was a kid, etc. So that's a great example that everyone needs to know because you talk about those kind of things. I use this example all the time. I've been in America since 2011, or I've been living in America since 2011. When it comes to knowing, a few people ask this question. When you need to know if it's a continuous or a non-continuous verb, it can get quite complex. There are different rules, but there are exceptions. And here is an example of that, okay? When we use the verb to have, it varies. Because there are different ways that you can use this verb, different meanings. I've had this car for 10 years. In this example, this is possession. I've had this car for 10 years. That is in the simple. They've been having a great time this morning. They've been having a great time this morning. In this case, it's more of an experience to have a great time. And with this case, we use the continuous form. So I've had this car for 10 years. They've been having a great time this morning. So some verbs can be flexible depending on the meaning of the verb. Other verbs can be flexible mainly depending on the type of English being used. So look at these 2 examples on your screen. I've wanted to do that for a while. That's the most common one, in my opinion. In America, you'll hear people say, I've been wanting to do that for a while. I've been wanting to do that for a while. Now, one is in the simple, one is in the continuous. They both mean the same thing. They both mean the same thing. But in American English, very often these non-continuous verbs are used in the continuous form. They are used in the continuous form. There's an example from a big brand, a big company, which had a slogan using a non-continuous verb in the continuous form. The first person to guess that wins a prize. Or just wins. There's no prize. You just win the competition. And you can be proud of the fact that you won the competition. So, which company is that? Which company is that? I'll just go back to the comment section. You look a bit weak from the last time I saw you. I hope you're not talking to me. People like to comment on my appearance a lot. It's kind of interesting. I think I look strong. I look strong. I've been working for 10 years. Great example. I've been really improving my English since this year. Since the start of this year. Okay? I've been really improving my English since the start of this year. I've been in London for 10 years. Okay? You can see all these different things. Who's Adam? What are you working on, Adam? Who's Adam? Unless you're just giving an example. How long have you been living in the US? Good example. I've been living in the US for 7 years nearly. I've been working as a programmer for 10 years. Ciao a tutti da Italia. McDonald's! Pavel, you got it. You got it. Pavel, you won the competition. Sorry if I shouted a little bit too loud. I've been waiting for Justin's concert for 10 years. So when we're talking about a period of time for like 2 weeks, 10 years, 3 days, 10 minutes, we use for. When we talk about a specific point in the past, last week, Monday, in 2011, we use since. It's a good example to know. Very good. Oh, Gemma. But this is wrong grammar, isn't it? No. Okay, the key to grammar is this. There are rules about grammar, but there are always exceptions. And it's just about who uses it and how they use it. So this whole, I've been wanting to do it for a long time. It might be incorrect grammar in grammar books, but people use it all the time. People use it all the time. And it's not one of these things that people use that is a mistake. This is just the way people use language now. It's important to know that. So somebody guessed McDonald's. You know, look at this burger. This is a McDonald's burger. I used to eat these all the time. I don't know why. But anyway, McDonald's has that slogan, I'm loving it. Now, notice on my screen, it has that little red line to say, oh, have you made a mistake there? And let's see what happens when, hopefully you can see this. No, you can't. I don't think you can see that. But what happens is it gives me the corrections and it tells me how to write it correctly, which is loving. I'm going to ignore spelling. And then hopefully that red line will go away. But McDonald's have this slogan, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Okay? Do, 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 do. And I think it was Justin Timberlake who had that kind of song out. But the key is this. Love here is being used in the present continuous. So what it's saying is that we can use it in the continuous tense. And you do hear Americans say, sometimes it doesn't sound right, but because I'm British, but they say, oh, I'm loving this weather. I'm loving this weather. Or I'm loving this soup. I'm loving this soup. I'm loving this beer. And it's just to say, in a way it works because you're saying it in the continuous form, which means in this moment, I am loving this weather. In this moment, I am loving this beer. Because if you say I love this weather, it means in general, this weather is good, but not what you're experiencing at this moment. I love this beer could mean, generally speaking, I love this beer. In this moment, it's not specific. So it does work in that kind of sense. But there's also something interesting about this. Notice that there is something missing. What is missing here? There's a letter missing. What letter is missing? It is the G. The G. So you'll notice it's I'm loving it, not I'm loving it. Loving, 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 loving. I taught is giving some good examples in Portuguese. Okay. Just adding some moderators. Gemma, you need to be a moderator too. And anyone in the Fluency program is going to be a moderator. G is replaced by apostrophe. Exactly. The comments are coming in. Let's see the comments. G, 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 G. Yeah, exactly. So the G is replaced by an apostrophe. And the reason it's like that is because in spoken English, in everyday English, English speakers drop the G for the gerund. So when it's ing, they drop the G. Loving, loving. Okay? Loving, loving. Got some more examples for you. So the first one, loving, loving. Going, going. Being, being. You're being silly. You're being silly. Now, in very quick English, you might hear, you're being silly. Yeah. Instead of you're being silly. You're being silly. Yeah. You're being silly. You're being silly. I'm not sure if that is a British thing, but that is what you will hear when people speak at natural pace. So instead of you're being silly, you're being silly. You're being silly. You're being, You're being. Could make a song, a little remix. You're being silly. You're being silly. Try repeating it. You're being silly. You're being silly. And this is one of the reasons why listening to movies, TV shows, and conversations can be very difficult. Because we replace all those sounds with different sounds. And we drop sounds. And it's very quick. And it links together. It's very difficult for a lot of people to understand. But the more you know about this, is going to benefit you. Let's have a look. I've been studying grammar with you since 2016. Mohammed, is that okay for formal situations? In most cases, yeah. It just depends on what kind of situation it is. If you are... Someone says here, if we pronounce a G, it is going to sound weird. I don't know if it sounds weird, but it's very common just to get rid of the G. Okay? What about you're being silly? No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Because in this case, we're using the present continuous. You're being silly. You're being silly. Okay? The vocabulary used in certification tests is not the same used in normal classes. It is unfair. Well, it depends on the certification. It really does depend on it, because this is why for your certifications and anything else, you need to know what they want and then learn that. And then take lessons that are specific to that certification or that exam. Rayan says, singing. Yeah, singing instead of singing. So yeah, this is a common thing that happens in everyday English. And again, if you decide to do this, it's up to you. But what's more important is knowing that it happens and then how to listen for it. Because any kind of conversation you're going to have relies on you being able to speak, but also being able to understand what people say. And a lot of the time when people speak in fast everyday English, it can be difficult if you don't know these things. So practicing them doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use them, but knowing them can help you understand them. Hopefully that makes sense. Who is here? Who else is in the chat? Let's see. Lucho is here. Jean is here. Four Fingers I've been watching for 1 hour. Keep giving me examples of an action that started in the past and continues in the present using the present perfect. Okay? Using the present perfect. Okay, good. All right. Your phone is ringing. Your phone is ringing. Good job. Your phone is ringing. Now, in my To Fluency program, and if you don't know about this, let's see, what can I show you? Here it is. tofluency.com/TFP. I go through all the sounds in English. Someone was mentioned about the IPA symbol. I've actually used a combination of symbols from different structures based on what I think is best. So I've actually got a lesson on all the vowel sounds and all the consonant sounds, including the schwa as well, where you'll be able to know how to make every sound in English and then how to bring those sounds together using dropped consonants, dropped vowels, the schwa, intonation, rhythm, stress, etc., so that you can produce these sounds in a way that native speakers do. And then once you go through that section of the course, you'll be able to better understand people when they speak. And then you'll go on to the last part of that, which is this. These are the memory packs, okay? Memory cards, sorry, where we have a conversation, my wife and I, and then you can download these fluency phrases and practice them and get long-term repetition. This is, for example, this is a lesson I have, connected speech and relaxed pronunciation, okay? Where you're going to learn about this, and you're also going to get lots of examples that you can download, and then you can upload your version of it so I can give you feedback. So learn more about that at tofluency.com/TFP. And if you become a member, you're going to become a moderator. Oh, sorry about that. A moderator on YouTube, which is kind of cool. Gemma is a member. I also saw a couple of other members before. Let's see. Scrolling all the way up. CT is here. Here you are, CT. I'm going to add you as a moderator. You know, I can also put people in timeout, which is really cool. All right, let's go back to this in the comment section. We've been waiting for you for 10 minutes. We've been waiting for you for 10 minutes. So include that preposition. Jack, have you ever had a really long beard? I had quite a long beard in 2012 maybe, but it wasn't that long. I've been waiting for her for 3 hours, but she hasn't come. Very good. Very good. Okay, good. The changes you made into the course are fantastic. Great job, Jack. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Gemma. Yeah, the course is great. It is really good. You should all definitely check it out. Now, the course as well is based on this method, where you listen to a phrase or a vowel sound, you repeat it, you record your version of it and compare it to the original. And then once you can produce it in a way that you're happy with, once you can produce the sound correctly, that's when you get long-term repetition. So again, go to fluency.com/TFP to join that course. It'd be great to have you. All right, this is the time of the To Fluency show where we are going to do question and answers. I'm just going to take a quick 30-second break. So now's the time to ask any questions that you have. All right, I'm back. It took me forever to work out, in fact, I can just do that. It took me a long time to understand how to get the music into this, and it hasn't worked in the past, but I like it. I like it. All right, comment section. Oh, not music. Let's have a look. Is there a verb to say earthquake? It is earthquaking. Good question. No. You say like there was an earthquake. You know, there's an earthquake. That's what you say. There's an earthquake. I'm in Turkey. It's 8 p.m. here. Good to have you here. Wow, your glass is so big. It is, isn't it? It's huge. I really like it. It's a huge glass. I know. I think it's 32 ounces, which is 2 pints. Which means I can have a lot of tea. Because most cups for tea, let me just move this over a little bit. Most cups for tea are just too small and you can't really drink a lot. I like a big cup of tea, a pint of tea. It's my favourite. I'm watching your video from Brazil. Very good. I'm watching your video from Brazil. Good to have you here. How would I motivate myself to be fluent in speaking? There are a few things to say. Go deep, which means really know the reason why being able to speak fluently in English would change your life. Think about that and remind yourself of that every day. But it's also important to know that motivation, in most cases, only lasts so long, or it only can do so much. What you have to do is to enjoy what you're doing and to make it a habit. And the best way to do that is to create a routine, doing fun things on a daily basis and doing things that work. If it works, then you're going to do it. You're going to continue doing it. If it's fun, you're going to continue doing it. If it's a habit, you just do it without thinking. But if you try to force yourself to do something every day and you don't have time and it isn't working, it's not fun, it's not working, then you'll stop. Would you explain meaning of prepositions in phrasal verbs? Yeah, so phrasal verbs I think technically speaking, it's like a verb and then a particle. I could be wrong here, but basically, it's just another word. It's the best way to describe it. It's just another word to use, and some are literal, some are idiomatic. So if it's idiomatic, then you don't know the meaning based on those two words. It just has this different meaning. Like, for example, to make up a story, which means to invent a story. Get up is more literal because, get up out of bed. Since I was young, I have wanted to learn English, but I did not know it was possible by YouTube until the start of this year. Very good. Thank you, Jack. This is a very important lesson. Thank you. How I learn podcasting? I don't know. I'm learning how to podcast myself. How can I go from upper intermediate to advanced? Take my program. It's going to help you in a huge way, especially if you know grammar rules, or you are good at online exams where they test your English in, is it A, B, C, or D? But if you want to be able to produce English without thinking about the rules and using the correct sounds, my program is for you. Do you guys think that people in the distant future will talk only in one language to communicate? This really interesting in that, because I think the trend is toward one language, one culture, etc. And also, Google released this new device where you can speak and it automatically translates, or something like that. I didn't read too much about it, but it's a really interesting thing to think about. But I hope not, because languages are incredible and they can really, show different parts of culture. And when that dies out, then that is all lost. And it's an incredibly sad thing to think about. What's your nationality? I can't hear the different accents. So I'm from the UK, but now I live in America. And I've been away from the UK since 2000. Present perfect simple. I've been away from the UK since 2007, really. I haven't lived there for a long time since then. The best way to learn phrasal verbs is in context. Yep. I'm watching and listening this time. Good to have you here. Carlos is here, lives in Fortaleza. I'm not even going to try. How to use ain't, and is that a good manner in speaking? Yeah, ain't is not. Try to avoid it if possible. But it can be used in fun situations. And that's just, without thinking too much about it. Can phrasal verbs be invented by anyone who lives in the USA, or how are they spread? What a great question. I don't know how they are spread, which means how they start with someone and then how they go to other people and people start using them. A lot of language being invented right now is based on social media, technology, like a selfie. I'm trying to think of a phrasal verb. New verbs come about, to Google something. Google it. To Google it. Which means to use Google to find that information, to Google it. So these new verbs do come about. But I don't know how they start. Usually it is because of a new trend or social media these days. How big is the impact of listening with learning English if we compare it with other ways of learning? Well, personally, I think it is more powerful than reading, but it's also something that you can do passively, which means that you can listen while doing other things. And I actually got these recently. These are AirPods. They're over here. So these are the Apple AirPods. I listen to things all the time. I'm constantly listening to podcasts, YouTube videos, and lots of other things. And what was I saying? But I do this while I'm doing the housework, while I'm driving, while I'm at the gym. And you can listen to English while doing those things as well. ABL, always be listening. Always be listening. So do as much as you can. Listen as much as you can. I'm really confused when I should use the past perfect and simple past. Someone came onto my program and said, "Are you live right now?" I'm just going to answer them. So if you go to my program page, you can, don't know why it's not opening. You can chat with me, but ask me questions about the course, not about English in general. So please give Facebook ID. I'll type it in here for you. FBTF. There we go. What's the difference between late and past? Can you give me 2 examples? There's a lot of British slang, which is hard. I like British slang, but sometimes when I search on YouTube, I found some slang so hard to understand. Yeah, with slang, you don't need to know every slang term. And a lot of the times people want to learn slang, but they can't use simple sentences. And I think it's important to think about that. You know, can you use the present perfect simple without thinking? Can you talk about the past without thinking about rules? And if not, then I'd focus on that first, instead of learning lots of slang. What do you do in the USA, English teacher, or only on internet as hobbies? This is my full-time job. In fact, I'm going to make a podcast episode on what I do and the business side of teaching English, because I started in 2011 as a one-to-one teacher. Then I created these programs, and I also help English teachers as well. So I have an online business which is doing very well, and that's what I do full-time. Arthur, you are great. I'm really glad I found your channel. Thank you for being here. As a beginner, which one are best to do? Practice speaking or grammar first? Good question. I'd say, as a beginner, learn phrases, learn sentences, and internalize grammar. So when people say, I want to learn grammar, the first thing they think about is grammar rules. But you can learn how to use grammar without looking at grammar rules. I'm going to make a podcast episode on that too. I'm not going to read all those. Last year or late year? Last year, if you're talking about, thank you, CT. If you're thinking about something in the past, last year. Last year I did this. Last year was amazing. We went to Florida last year, etc. Gemma says audiobooks are a great resource. Yeah, this is something I've talked about. Audiobooks and reading and listening at the same time is really good. Antonio, have you ever talked to an English speaker and not understood what the person was talking about? Yeah, all the time. All the time. Happens a lot. Usually it's because of strong accents. People don't understand what I'm talking about because of my accent here in America. I watch movies, I don't know what they're saying. And I think I made a video on this where if you're listening to a movie and you don't understand what they're saying, know that a lot of native speakers might not understand certain parts of that either. And movies are really hard to understand. Really hard to understand. I can't speak with confidence in front of people. In English, how to break the barrier. Well, can you speak with confidence in your native language in front of people? If not, then it's not an English problem. it is a general confidence and public speaking problem. So if you have problems in your native language, that's a different issue. If it's because you don't think your English is good enough, then there are two things to do. Firstly, get somebody to evaluate your English and to see if it's acceptable for those kind of situations. And secondly, just improve. If you improve your English, you feel more confident. If you learn new things, you feel more confident because you're improving. Where are you from? Preston, Lancashire, England. Preston. Will I get the chance to talk to you on Skype? Probably not. I don't speak to people on Skype. I just don't have the time to do it. Is it difficult to break personal barriers and give inferiority complex? To break personal barriers and... Yeah, so that inferiority complex. This is a different issue then. Could I learn by movies, sentences? Yeah, I think TV shows are a little bit better because the dialogue is more conversational. Is there any daily cycle step by step for learning a language? For example, start your study session reading, then do some listening and perhaps writing afterwards. I think every learner should be responsible for their own study plan because you know your own weaknesses and your strengths. You know what you need to improve the most. You know, or you should learn what you need to do in order to improve more quickly. You should also know what you're going to use your English for. So if you're only going to write in English, then focus on writing. If you want to improve your general conversation, then improve your speaking, learn new words and phrases, and follow my method. You know, my method is one of the most powerful ways to improve your English. So it's good. It's good. I thought we can learn grammar rules in context without noticing it. For me, it's working like that. That is so important. Once you realize that you can learn grammar rules in context without noticing it, that's when you're going to just make amazing progress. Because you're not thinking about rules. Instead, you're just using it. Do you practice your speaking when you live in non-English countries? Do you have any advices? Yeah, that's what my program does. I read Jane Eyre and I came across a lot of unknown words. I tried to learn them all. I think I'm going crazy. I made a video on this about Jane Eyre, about Pride and Prejudice. Go watch a video I made 2 weeks ago, which is something about reading in English, because that is using language that people don't use now. So if you want to learn words and phrases to use in everyday conversations, don't use Jane Eyre as a way to learn those words and phrases, because they speak in this outdated way and they use vocabulary that people don't use anymore. And if you want to read that novel to learn English, okay, to be able to use words and phrases and to learn new words and phrases, look at the graded reader, because that uses everyday English and words and phrases you have to know. Could you please make a video overcome the confusion of past perfect and simple past? I'll add it to my list. How can I improve my reading skills? Read a lot. And watch that video as well. Can the environment affect my English? How can I avoid mistakes they make? So are you talking about how... I'm not quite sure what you mean. But environment is key in life. It's key in life. If you're surrounded by people who are so negative, always negative, and they tell you negative things and they don't like if you're successful, that's going to affect you as well. When saying someone's age, is it right to say years old or year old? Years old. 12 years old. But in most cases, you just say the number. He's 12. My son is 4. You don't need to say years old. And I can't think of a situation where you say it. In fact, you would say, you know, my kid is 12 months or my kid is 6 months. 6 months old, but you'd say, she's 1, she's 2, she's 3. And everyone knows that you're talking about years. All right. Okay. CT, thank you so much for these kind comments. That's a funny username. But anyway, thank you so much for these kind comments, everyone. Thank you for being here live. It's going to remind you all, because we all need reminders. We use the present perfect, simple and continuous to talk about actions that started in the past and continue in the present. To wait is a continuous verb. I've been waiting in line for 20 minutes. To know is non-continuous. I've known her from school. I've known her since school, sorry. To have varies depending on the meaning, and there are certain verbs that have this. I've had this car for 10 years. They've been having a great time this morning. To want is flexible. It has the same meaning. It can be used in both. In America, it's more common to use a continuous. In British English, I've wanted to do that for a while. In American English, I've been wanting to do that for a while. In a lot of cases, we drop the G. Drop the G. Living, going, being. You're being silly. You're being silly. You're being silly. You're being silly. My method is this. Listen, repeat, record and compare. Get long-term repetition. Inside the program, you're going to get these tutorials on pronunciation. You're going to be able to download the audio and send me your examples. And you're also going to get fluency phrases and memory cards. Find out more about that at fluency.com/TFP. If you're new here, please subscribe and click the notification bell. And if you don't have it already, get my book, the 5-Step Plan for English Fluency, to fluency.com/book. Okay. The one thing, if you have to check something out, TFP. TFP. I'm going to answer one more question. When are you going to when are you going to do the next live lesson? I'm not quite sure. It'll be next week, probably Tuesday at the same time. I think I'm going to do these again. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure to have you. If you've liked this, click the like button, share it with someone. Always share the lessons if you find them useful. And I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.